Under Night and Birth, one of the greatest fighting games ever created. My name is God Hunter, and I'm here to teach you about the game mechanics and give some mini evaluations of the cast, so you can get a gist of the game. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. In Under Night and Birth, or Uniel for short, movement is a lot less insane compared to other anime fighters. Every character has a different walk speed and backdash. When it comes to forward dashes, some characters possess runs while others have burst dashes. Double tap forward for forward dashing and double tap back for back dashing. Assault is basically a command air dash. Use it to rush towards your opponent at high speeds. Press forward D on the ground for a ground assault, or forward D in the air for an air assault. Air assault is the only one that can cross up your opponent. Uniel uses a 4-button layout which consists of A, B, C, and D. A is your lights, B is your mediums, and C attacks are heavies. D involves grid, but I'll explain that later. You can cancel normals into other normals freely, such as A, B, C. However, you are not limited to a specific order. You could also do C, B, A, or B, A, C. Canceling from any heavy or medium to something below it is called a reverse B. Most characters have normals that can be charged, that add extra properties to the move. Every character also has 2 dash attacks, which are dash B and dash C. A plus D is your throw. Press the same buttons when being thrown to attack the throw. Be advised that your opponent does recover before you, so you are negative. Gold throws are when you throw your opponent while they are in hit or block stun. These throws are way easier to see and way easier to tech. Also, if you are thrown during the startup or recovery of a move, you cannot tech. Every character has a unique assortment of special moves that can be found in the command list. Most characters have an A version, a B version, and a C version which consists of an EX or super version of the move. Force function is your character specific move. The command is B plus C. Normals can also cancel into it. Every character has a move called Infinite Worth. The input is always half circle forward plus D. They each do something different but always require full meter. Every character also has an Infinite Worth EXS that can only be used once your health is below 30%. Standing, crouching, and aerial blocking are the 3 different types of blocking in Under Night. Most moves are air unblockable, but some aren't. You will also never be KO'd by chip damage. Unlike other anime fighters, in Uniel you can hold A, B, or C while being comboed to tech or recover. In the air you can tech neutral, forward, or backward. On the ground, you can tech neutral or backwards. Grind grid, or simply grid for short, is the gauge located at the bottom middle of the screen. You gain grid by walking forward, dashing, using assault, hitting with an attack, blocking, shielding, or by using concentration. You also lose grid when you run backwards, you take damage when your opponent attacks are blocked with shield, when the opponent escapes from the throw, and when the opponent uses the concentration. The player that has the most grid blocks when the circle in the middle of the grid gauge fills enters a state called Vorpal. You can tell you have Vorpal when a blue aura surrounds your characters and your grid blocks shine. During Vorpal you deal 10% more damage to get access to Chain Shift. Chain Shift is possibly the most important tool in the game. By double tapping D while in Vorpal, you can freeze time while gaining meter equivalent to the amount of grid blocks you have. You can also use it to cancel attacks. When you have 100 EXS, you can press A, B, and C together to activate Veil Off. The activation is both invincible and unsafe unblocked. During Veil Off, you deal 20% more damage and can use any EX move including Infinite Worth. Guard Shield is essentially using the shield command while already blocking attacks. It works the same way except it also functions as a push block. You lose 1 grid block every time you fail a guard shield. If you get thrown during a shield or use the wrong type of shield to block an attack, you get grid broken. Once that happens, you cannot use shield and even worse, assault, until the meter next to your grid drains. Guard Thrust is basically your alpha counter. When in block stun, input quarter circle back plus D to activate. To use it, you have to either spend your Vorpal, or if you have over 100 EXS, use all of your meter and be grid broken. And that's pretty much it. Only thing to do now is to pretty much explain the characters. Mind you, before each character I put a little slide that basically shows a little bit of the stats. Those are all my opinion, you shouldn't take those to heart, but you know. Anyway, let's get into that. Literally the first thing that comes to my mind when I see Akatsuki is Ryu. He has a fireball, Tatsumaki like move with DP, so you can already tell that he's very well rounded. comes back with some pretty good mix-ups, you know, some decent footsies. There's no real obvious flaw the character has. I mean, he's got a double jump and air throw. That's pretty good. Most characters don't have that. The only character would be like Eltnum with a air throw, I think. Yeah, so he's very good if you're new to the game. If you're new to the game, I highly recommend Akatsuki. Very good for learning the game. Now, maybe when it comes to flaws, when it comes to other characters like Gordeau, as you can see right here, Gordeau outshines Akatsuki in footsies. I know it doesn't look like that right here, but or any character with just huge buttons just makes Akatsuki it's the struggle. He just can't keep up in footsies. That's literally the biggest problem with Akatsuki. Everything he's got a lot of tools, but he's basically the master of none. Straight up jack of all trades, in the strongest sense. So yeah, if you're new to the game, I say use Akatsuki. If you like the way he looks, use him. There's nothing wrong with using a character like this. You can make him work. I mean, other people have, so hey, why not? Give it a try. Traps, rekkas, mobility. If you like any of those things, you might as well just play Byakuya. This character's mobility is it's crazy. He can just fly around the stage, just placing webs wherever he feels like, and just bring you to the corner just like that by switching sides. It's pretty crazy that he can do all this. He can control space really well with his 2B. He's got amazing lows. He actually does wonders with footsies. His only real weakness is that he has no reversal. He has no reversal and no projectile, no real long range whistle. You know, you're not going to be zoning with him, but it doesn't really matter when you can place webs like this. The man can steal grid. He's got at least 2 overheads, I think. Yeah, it's pretty good. When you're on the roll, you literally just have Vorpal the entire round. If that sounds cool to you, like placing traps, just going crazy on your opponent, and just non-stop pressure mobility, then try Byakuya. He's great too. Hey you, do you like pressing buttons? Do you like pressing buttons while you press buttons? Do you like blood? Well then guess what, you're gonna play Carmine, because you can do all that with this. Carmine is probably the only character that can literally trap you anywhere on the stage and just put you into his nasty little mix-ups. Once you get in the corner, as you can see right here, it's pretty much GG, because from there he just starts freestyling and going crazy, and every Carmine just apparently just can kill you just like that, because they just know everything. Carmine uses his blood in terms to do damage. Every time you use a special move, or you do the forward B, I think, or 6B, it uses blood. You can't knock yourself out with blood, but you can drain. You basically do combo damage to yourself, so you have to be careful. He can kind of zone, sort of, but it's not like it's not what your long-term goal is to zone. It's just to get your opponent into a trap. Everything is for the traps. Just always remember that. You want to be a bully, pick Carmine, have fun. Chaos is Under Night's puppet character, I suppose. A very technical character. It can be a little bit tricky to utilizing Chaos and Ozzy at the same time. Remember this statement. Ozzy is nothing without Chaos, Chaos is nothing without Ozzy. Whereas Chaos probably has the weakest footsie game without Ozzy. With Ozzy, Chaos actually can maintain good spacing, he has good zoning, and pretty good pressure with Ozzy. Like, the mix-ups they're alright, the pressure is pretty good too, but it's just, you have to make sure Ozzy doesn't get hit, because every time Ozzy gets hit, he disappears for a few seconds and Chaos is left by himself. Every one of Chaos's normals are all his, every one of his specials all consists of using Ozzy. So you gotta be able to manage both of those at the same time, which you can see would be kind of hard. It's not the easiest thing to do. Chaos definitely takes a little bit of practice to get used to. Well, maybe a little bit more than practice to get used to. But yeah, you don't want Chaos to be left by himself. He literally is nothing without Ozzy. Eltnum is a pretty straightforward character. You rush in, you can do some frame traps, you knock them down, then you go for Oki, and you rinse and repeat. It's not too different from other characters, but I guess Eltnum has to rely on that a lot more than others. Her Oki's really good, but everything else she does can kind of be gimmicky. Yeah, just a little bit. Also, her combos are pretty hard, so that's one thing you're gonna have to get used to. They take a lot of work and they're very easy to drop. But she's not. She's pretty simple. She's got a nice standing. She's got a standing overhead. Actually, magically charged too, so it's really good. She's got a move that low profiles, or is it not low? Well, high profiles actually. Yeah, it goes over lows. She's pretty good. Very, very good up close. Can be pretty dangerous with momentum. Once she loses that, it can be, you know, a little bit not in her favor. She has a DP, EX DP, does a little bit more damage, but yeah, very simple character. Once you get past the execution barrier, I mean, if you're good at combos, that's fine. You know, pick up that one. Did that little sequence excite you? Well, I got bad news for you. I guess you're gonna play Gordeau. And I say bad news because once you play this character, your friends aren't gonna like you. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Because this is arguably the best character in the game. This man has pretty much everything you could think of besides a projectile. He's got his 2C is a low, and it's also an anti-air. He's got Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper is basically a DP, an anti-air. It's from chain shift, it's good on pressure. He's just amazing. He's got a command grab. He's got a slide that goes under projectiles. It's just crazy. He's got insane normal 5C reaches so far. It's crazy. This character can pretty much do everything. Easy combos he can easily get 3K. Probably the easiest in the cast. Simple 3K off just straight up bread and butters that it takes you like a day to learn. This is also a character I recommend for beginners, honestly, and he's quite powerful. What a combination, huh? So, if that excites you, if being a bad person excites you, then pick Gordeau. I'm not gonna lie, he's a lot of fun. But he's also just... people don't like him, and you'll see why once you play online. Hilda. Under Knight's zoner, I guess you could say. Hilda probably is the truest zoner in the game. There's honestly not a lot to say about Hilda. It's just straightforward zoning. Zoning can be straightforward. But, yeah, she has great neutral, amazing zoning tools, a good projectile that whiffs crouchers, but she has also an airborne one. Plenty of special moves. I forgot the name of some of them, but I do know of a knockdown. Hilda has some pretty good Oki with, I believe it's charge JC, or she can go for an empty jump low, or she has pillar that can hit low, or she has pin that can drop high. It's pretty crazy. Hilda lacks any form of defense, though. She has no reversal, meter or meterless, besides Veil Off or EX Infinite Worth, so you gotta be wary of that. Hilda's not the easiest character. You gotta have a really good understanding of spacing and zoning to really make her work. But if you can do that, pick Hilda. Hyde is just your average run-of-the-mill shuttle character. Comes with a projectile, an expansion move, and DP, just like Orie would. Hyde actually has a very unique trait that he can actually inflict chip damage with his normals, something that the other cast can't do. He's got great pressure, although his mix-ups are probably his weakest part. His only standing overhead is the charge version of his force function, and that itself is pretty slow and pretty unsafe on blocks, so you pretty much have to outplay your opponent to get an upper hand with Hyde, so, you know. But he's a very good beginner character, fantastic damage, and great pressure once you can get past the mix-up game. I mean, you will, trust me. If you're going to use Hyde, you'll figure it out. When it comes to beginner characters, Linne is probably the fastest. She comes equipped with a dive kick, a roll to get around her opponent, command normals, just a lot of things. She has a good overhead for open up opponents, and very interesting strings that seem like they're a little easy. I don't know. She's got a very interesting assortment of moves. She has a projectile that doesn't go full screen. She uses it in the air, on the ground, so of course you could tell Linne really is not a zoner, or really even mid-screen. You want to just rush to your opponent's face, just hit them with non-stop buttons until they just crack. And it seems to work out pretty well. Linne just, maybe her only flaw is the lack of damage. I mean, most people in this cast can easily do 3k, but Linne probably on the weaker side, just so slightly, but it's not noticeable. Still a solid character overall. The Void God himself, Merkava. This is literally versatility of the character. With his Dulcim-like limbs, Merkava can easily zone out most of the cast. He can fly, he has a dive kick, he has great lows, he has an overhead that goes over projectiles. This character just has a lot. He has great Oki thanks to his ability to fly and place minions on the ground that can attack after a couple of seconds. It's just this character, just once he gets momentum, it's pretty dangerous. His only main weakness is that maybe his only projectile is a flying move, and it's okay. That, and he has a huge hurt box, which can be taken advantage of by other characters. So yeah, besides that, this is literally just a great character. Nanase tends to be a lot more of a risky rushdown character. She works really well in the corner, but in mid-screen she can be alright. She has great high-lows, and her force function actually lets her cross up, because it gives her more like a boost kind of jump. It's really helpful for her. She has very stubby normals, and she's very meter reliant, so yeah, you gotta keep that in mind. She's very high reward, high risk, low reward character, so you gotta make sure you really capitalize every hit and get your max damage as possible. In ways, Orie is very Shoto-esque. She's got very strong spacing, and she's got good pressure and good Oki thanks to, as you can see right there, her persona. The persona is probably the best part of Orie. It can be used as Oki, it can be used for zoning, it's just amazing. She has great neutral because of it, it helps too. Her rapier, she can do a thrusting stab that it covers a great amount of space, and I'm pretty sure it's safe, and you can change shift off to it, yeah. And it's just that amazing. She has a standing overhead, she has great lows, she has a hop kick, Orie just has a really good package. She just doesn't have a fireball, so full screen zoning can be a problem for her, but it's not too bad for her. She can still keep up with characters. When it comes to mix-ups, Seth's most definitely number one. He has one of the fastest dashes in the game, hands down. His pressure is pretty good too, but the main thing that Seth has is a move called Stitch. Stitch is basically a fireball that Seth puts out, and after a couple seconds it tracks the opponent. Its weakness is that it can get touched, but using his force function, the next Stitch he sends out will actually not disappear even if the opponent touches it. Really good. It's really helpful for him getting in. He really doesn't care about zoners. He has no problem getting in on them. His main weakness, though, is honestly health. Seth has some of the lowest health in the game. Ironic as a name that is, too. And it just does not help him. That literally, he can lose matches just by getting touched. 4k is literally like almost all of his health. That and his reversals, he doesn't have too many. He has one, but it requires meters, so yeah. Very strong, very dangerous. But as soon as he gets touched, he's probably gonna die because he is 100% a glass cannon. Vatista is this game's charge character. She's the only charge character, and probably the only character I've seen in a fighting game with up, down, and forward-back charge motions. Very unique, especially Vatista's playstyle, which consists of zoning, but also switching to offense when necessary. Vatista's pressure is really good when applied with crystals, and just insane when she gets momentum. Her weakness is that her mix-ups aren't that great. Her only low is 2C. 2C is her only low. Her only overhits are her B drill and her jump-ins, and the B drill is unsafe without a crystal behind it, so that isn't that reliable. In terms of zoning, Vatista is also really good, but she can't keep doing one thing. She has to mix back and forth, going back and forth with zoning, shooting lasers, shooting sonic booms, and then rushing down. You can't be doing one too much, so it's a good mix. I should also say that Vatista is the only character that, off a counter hit OTG, she cannot be picked up like other characters, so that's a good thing. Vatista has the highest damage output in the game, hands down, but a trade-off is that she's also the second most difficult character in the game, probably next to Yuzu, so I don't recommend her at beginners at all. You probably have to learn the game a lot, and if you're not good at charge characters, then Vatista is probably not going to be the character you're picking. But if you like high execution, high damage, zoning, rushdown, if you like Guile even, you should definitely pick up Vatista. Waldstein is Under Knight's grappler that thanks the Lord that Assault is a mechanic. He's actually pretty fast thanks to it, because his walk speed is pitiful. Forward dash, back dash, forward walk, back, well, they're all terribly slow, but thanks to Assault, Waldstein can get around the map pretty fast. His claws can actually destroy projectiles, which is pretty good for him in zoning, but he still does lose to heavy zoning like Vatista and even worse, Hilda. Like any other slow grappler though, you have to be very patient playing Waldstein. You can't just dash in or assault in because that's just way too obvious. Also, on defense, Waldstein's buttons are pretty slow, so you're going to be blocking a lot if you're being rushed down in the corners, so just remember, mix command grabs into your pressure, don't jump in recklessly, press your buttons carefully, and stay out of the corner. Yuzu is a mid-range monster. She's a stance character that requires you to hold A, B, or C to swing her sword in certain directions. Thanks to her sword, she also has great space control and zoning. In her stance, she can also enter a sort of high-speed movement that allows her to be at any part of the stage whenever she likes. But alas, Yuzu is one of the hardest characters to play in the game. Not only do you get to understand her mechanics, but her combos can be really easy to drop, they require certain parts of the stage to be at, and they're just overall very, very specific. Yuzu is probably the easiest character to be bad with, just because you can make so many mistakes with your spacing, you don't use the right teleport, you're just whiffing all these sword attacks, and you just get blown up like it's nothing. So it's gonna take a lot of dedication, practice, and just straight up grinding to get good with this character. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's Under Night and Birth. There's the gameplay, mechanics, characters, that's about everything. I hope you enjoyed. I put a lot of time into this, I'm not even gonna lie. If you want, you can follow me at Twitter, at GodHanta, or you can just follow me at Twitch. I am twitch.tv God_Hanta, so yeah. Please, like, you know, people who just go, oh yeah, you should like and subscribe. Man, just share this. I just want other people to see this. I just want people to play this game. You know what I mean? Alright guys, catch you guys later. Peace.